Guys, there's a lot of new games coming out, but I gotta say, Hogwarts Legacy is honestly my most anticipated game for 2023. And it actually all started 21 years ago. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was released, and ever since then, I just wanted to be a wizard. Now, the outpouring of love for Harry, Ron, and Hermione was staggering over the years that followed as the Wizarding World became a cultural phenomenon, spawning video games, spin-off films and books, and even 2 theme park attractions at the Wizarding World in Universal Orlando and Hollywood. Hogwarts became the spiritual home for many of us around the world. And just like Harry counting down those days until he got to head back to Hogwarts, we're only a couple months away from February the 10th, which will release Hogwarts Legacy. Avalanche Software, the developers of the open world RPG set in the Wizarding World, recently premiered over 45 minutes of gameplay, showcasing its character creation, Hogwarts and its environment, and some combat, and what could be 2023's Game of the Year. That's right. Some of you may say that's a far stretch, but listen, man, I'm still waiting on my letter to Hogwarts. Now, Hogwarts Legacy actually takes place during the late 1800s, a time of great advancement in medicine, science, and technology for both muggles, witches, and wizards. It finds you, a late admission 5th-year student, at the heart of a great mystery set deep within the Scottish countryside at the legendary School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. And I love that they actually set it at that 5th year, because if you remember Order of the Phoenix, the progression of the students greatly advances in that 5th year, the spells that you learn. And even though Harry and his friends were definitely under more pressing conditions, the stakes were definitely risen in that 5th year. And I actually love that Avalanche Software started at this point. And it's here that you're actually going to be creating your best version of your witch or your wizard before you choose your Hogwarts house, make friends and enemies, and explore the magical castle and surrounding open world, all while uncovering the mystery behind a dark secret that threatens to tear the Wizarding World apart. Now, I do want to draw emphasis to the surrounding open world. This is supposed to be a 1-to-1 ratio of what Hogwarts is, and the scope of this game is supposed to be a truly open world action RPG. Now, according to the developers, it actually takes place roughly 100 years before the events of the Sorcerer's Stone, and of course the larger story of Harry Potter. This puts us squarely in the 19th century, exploring Hogwarts from the Victorian age, which is a pretty interesting age, and even before the likes of Fantastic Beasts. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Harry in the game just as much as the next Potterhead, but being able to explore Hogwarts and live your own adventure story, I think that's the true RPG dream. And what's so beautiful about this time frame is you really start to dive into the different houses: Slytherin, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, even though nobody cares about Hufflepuff. But I'm almost certain we're actually going to be diving into the heads of those houses. I mean, who wouldn't want to hang out with Godric Gryffindor or peer into the eyes of Salazar Slytherin? Now, in the gameplay preview, we got to see quite a bit of the castle, but we also got to see some of the worlds surrounding Hogwarts, like the Black Lake, where the first years would board boats and be guided across the waters, and Harry would later compete in the Tri-Wizard Tournament here, diving to its depths. That's right, you got your crazy mer people there. You also have Hogsmeade Station, where the Hogwarts Express offloads its students for a year of fantastical learning, the Forbidden Forest, filled with all sorts of amazing secrets and deadly creatures to uncover as you explore. And of course, there's the cozy town of Hogsmeade itself, which I'm sure Butterbeer most definitely will be present, all of which is accessible and explorable in Hogwarts Legacy, whether by foot or by broom, or on the back of a hippogriff, making this game the most expansive and in-depth game set in the Wizarding World ever. And who knows what secrets you'll find left behind by the legendary Merlin from his time at Hogwarts. Now, during the preview, senior environment artist and resident Hogwarts expert Boston Manson made clear the environment itself would shift over time, whether on its own or based on the decisions you make as a player. And as you play and explore, the time of day will actually shift around you, making the passage of time with the day and night cycle. This game also has seasons. As events progress later into the year, the trees will shift from vibrant green to reds to then yellows and oranges before predominant white snowfall takes hold of the hills. Even Hogwarts itself will shift and change depending on the weather, the time of year, or the time of day in-game, making the world feel just a little more alive and lived in. As if that wasn't already cool enough, game director Alan Tu also mentioned, and I'm paraphrasing here, the game world surrounding you will shift and change based on the decisions you make as a player. Now, this can mean a number of things. Yes, the game does technically shift around you as you progress through the game, but I'd say that any story-focused game does that. What this can actually mean is that your decisions literally alter the world and how it interacts with you in itself, meaning your choices will have consequences. And based on what's been shown to us, it appears narrative changes will occur based on our decisions. The beautiful thing about this is Hogwarts Legacy will most likely have multiple endings, giving the game much needed replayability. Now, no game is complete nowadays without some kind of customizable settlement or workshop or hub area. We've seen it in Tarkov, Warframe, even games like Fallout and Animal Crossing, and Disney's Dreamlight Valley. Hogwarts Legacy introduces you to the Room of Requirements, which quickly becomes that central customizable hub that you'll need if you're going to be catching up to all the other witches and wizards in your class. You can customize the Room of Requirements with various potion brew stands, magical gardens, tinkering contraptions to level things up, or even a wardrobe to change the clothes you wear. there. The room of requirements is your space to alter and change to meet your own needs and aesthetic. And from the books, that's exactly the purpose of room of requirements, to be that highly customizable room that provided what you required. And of course, there's also vivariums, which are customizable spaces that you'll discover during your time at Hogwarts with their own expansive interiors separate from the room of requirements. Anyone who is familiar with the Fantastic Beasts film might recognize the similarity between these greenhouse-style portals and the case Newt is always seen carrying around. Now, you're going to actually have the ability to customize the interior space of vivariums to suit your own style and preference, all while providing a space for magical beasts to both cover and thrive in. Fellas, I hope at this point you're understanding the scope of this game, man. It's nuts. Now, if you're in need of supplies for potions, clothing for the turn in weather, or even materials to decorate your vivariums, then Hogsmeade is the place for you. In your adventures, you're actually going to be able to travel to the little town and explore the veritable cornucopia of shops and establishments. Here, you can get new items, new clothes, and even change up your hairstyle. There's a lot to do in Hogsmeade. Additionally, you can visit a number of witch and wizard hamlets spread across the countryside where you'll find even more places to shop, characters to meet, and quests to complete. Hogwarts Legacy will also have a number of companions to befriend. You have Poppy Sweeting from Hufflepuff, a younger student with a penchant for magical creatures and beasts. There's also Natsy Onai from Gryffindor, a quick-witted transfer student from Ugadu, the largest wizarding school in the world, whose mother is Hogwarts' newest divination professor. We also have Sebastian Salem, a young man from Slytherin who is turning to the dark arts as a means of saving his sister, who has befallen a terrible curse. And then we have Amit Thakar of Ravenclaw, an aspiring historian and astronomer who will never fail to help us, even at the risk of his own detriment. You can earn the loyalty of each of these companions as the game progresses and eventually have them join you on your adventures and explorations. Because at the end of the day, it's your story and only you can decide who will be your Ron Weasley or Hermione Granger. Personally, I like Crabbe and Goyle, right? So we talked about the world and those that live in it. Now let's go over the combat, because that's going to be a big one. Combat in Hogwarts Legacy, at least from what we've seen, is fluid, drawing from a combination of basic magical attacks and 20 learnable and upgradable spells. It harkens to a system like that of the Arkham series, or most recently, Spider-Man from Insomniac Games. You can pepper your opponents with basic attacks, or you can actually chain together basic attacks in various spell combos, or even use your environment for devastating effects. Upgrade your spells into new tiers of effects that fundamentally change the way you decide to play the game. You can even match your spells and its blast to the magic type of your enemy shields to shatter them and then make them vulnerable. And just like in the Arkham and Spider-Man games, you block with your shield when you get the Sixth Sense indicator that you're about to be attacked. Now, you can also brew fanciful potions for a number of effects, one of which appears to give you stone skin. You can brew invisibility potions and sneak up on enemies. You can even focus on magical, fantastical finishing moves. You can also raise magical beasts and bring them with you to assist in combat. Your options here, guys, for combat is as expansive as your imagination. Now, in addition to the menagerie of spells, potions, and creature combinations, your enemies will also range from seedy dark witches and wizards to the undead to corrupted goblins to even the soul sucker specter of dementors. There are so many beasts and bad guys that we've seen so far, and they are only a fraction of what we're actually going to be encountering through the game. From everything we have seen from Hogwarts Legacy, this is definitely shaping up to be worthy of Game of the Year. Now, we do still have some questions. Firstly, will the game have New Game Plus? With multiple different endings and ways to play through the game, I feel like New Game Plus here feels like a requirement, especially for any single-player narrative-focused game like Hogwarts Legacy. There's so many different ways to play the game. It would be a shame if we were prevented from taking everything we spent our time earning and developing over previous playthroughs into a new one to experience Hogwarts Legacy in a new light. Second, the narrative needs to be good, and I mean really good. It needs to immerse us, almost to the point that I forget magic doesn't actually exist, or so we think. And it should go without saying, but the characters and story interweaved through the game should be compelling to the point that we can't stop playing. And again, when it comes to the narrative, I know what it would be during Harry Potter's era, or even his parents' generation, and even before that, when Dumbledore was an active professor at Hogwarts. Now, the third thing I want to mention is that there needs to be accessibility options. It's going to be incredibly important that Hogwarts Legacy gets the accessibility options right here. Subtitles need to be readable, color settings need to be available for the colorblind, control remapping options, etc. The better they do with accessibility, the more gamers can play and enjoy the game. Fourth, the game is going to have to be challenging. Now, we're not asking for like Elden Ring or Dark Souls here. I know there's going to be different levels of difficulty, and I feel like God of War really nails this right, because you can essentially choose like easy mode where you can just enjoy the narrative, and then God of War mode, which just amps everything up to 11. But not just the challenge of combat, but also the puzzles need to be challenging. If there was one thing that Hogwarts always possessed in the books, was the puzzles, the secrets, and they were difficult to solve, uncover, and figure out. And that's gonna have to be the case here. Make those moments where we're actually exploring the Forbidden Forest and the cliffs, beaches, and hills surrounding Hogwarts Hogwarts into a memorable aha moment. This is one of those things that we shouldn't be handed. So although I do think toning down the difficulty of combat may be necessary for some, I hope the secrets surrounding Hogwarts will be challenging. Guys, Hogwarts Legacy has a lot of potential to not only be Game of the Year, but also be the greatest Harry Potter game to ever release. And all of this is without including Harry Potter, a game about mystery and intrigue, and about the eternal question, is dark magic really evil if you're using it for good? And what's so amazing about this game is we're actually going to be able to dabble in the dark arts and about finding answers to questions that have plagued the wizarding world since its inception. Hogwarts Legacy will be, without a doubt, a magical experience that any fan of the wizarding world will enjoy. But what I really hope is to take someone that has never read the books, who may never have seen any of the movies, and throw them in this game and they find themselves enjoying it. We'll find out for ourselves February the 10th, 2023, whether this fantastical journey misses the mark or solidifies its own legacy. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.